Good morning, grinders. Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka blenderhd, blenderhd if you want to follow me on Twitter. And this is the show in the morning on RotoGrinders YouTube and on the website. And that we have a replay on the podcast feed, so subscribe there, rate and review on iTunes. But this is where I wake up in the morning. I didn't wake up that long ago, right? It was like maybe 30 or 40 minutes ago, right? I wake up, I take my morning dump, right? Got to do that. And then I go and I look at results DB on RotoGrinders, and I take a look at the preliminary projections on Lineup HQ, and I get a sense of what's going on today and what happened yesterday. Studying top players, studying other people from yesterday's slate will help you in future slates. So this is what I personally do in the morning. And you know what I love to drink when I'm doing this. It's the apple juice, as always. It's always the apple juice. Feel free, keep it cold throughout the next hour by hitting that thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button here on YouTube. Hit the subscription. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell to know that when we go live, or the RG app. It'll even tell you that. If you want to just listen to the audio of this, even if you're live, you could always just download the RotoGrinders app, and the audio is in there. You can't participate in the YouTube chat. I see the people in the YouTube chat. Mike B, Shane Newman, card fan. Oh, a hub, bro. Oh, he's up early, right? He had a big 100K score the other day. Frederick Duke, Jim Steele, Nate Branshaw, we're all here. As always, I prioritize the YouTube people. I answer your strategy questions. We go over yet last night's slate. So feel free to type in your questions, your comments, your anything into the YouTube chat. Yesterday was why do we even bother doing preview? Is there a point to doing like I know Stevie does the morning grind here on RotoGrinders. He records, typically it's him and Will or him and Grant or Christy or someone. And they're recording like the night before, and then I do the show at 11 in the morning, and people ask me like, okay, who's good today? Who should I pick today? And we see like every day that by 5 hours from now, nothing matters anymore, right? Nothing, right? We had the big Harden trade yesterday, right? So it's like, okay, now that LeVert's gone, Allen's gone from the Nets, Prince is gone from the Nets. It's like, okay, now we're playing a ton of Nets today. Right, we went in yesterday thinking it's like, okay, we're going to look at kind of like the Mavericks, right? Porzingis is back, but, their front court, maybe you play some Boban. Maybe you play some from Will and Cauley-Stein. Nope, DeAndre Jordan, that's all that mattered, right? I mean, things changed so much. Then Bledsoe was out, and we had Horford sat for load management, so that opened up Roby. So, I mean, if you're thinking about making lineups now, don't feel the need that you need to make decisions now. Get a sense of what's going on and then react, throughout the course of the day. And then by an hour before lock, then you have a little bit more of a sense. And even then, lock hits, and then more stuff happened. We had Lillard and Nurkic as game time decisions. We had Hield and Holmes as who knows if they play, right? They were more probable, right? See, you never know. So that's why, NBA DFS is a constantly changing thing. So you can't just lock on and anchor the players early in the day. You have to roll with the news. You got to roll with the news. So we had yesterday. I look at the difference between the Mega 8s, the $15, $18, whatever it was, the fadeaway, the big GPP, and the 4-point play. The 20 entry max, $3, $4, whatever contest that is, right? And see the differences. The biggest difference was Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Because once Bledsoe gets ruled out,
NAW, right? NA-W? Nah. We call him Nah here. Hell no. He became the best projected player on the slate. Essentially, the best projected players on the slate were Nah and DeAndre Jordan, right? At 3,400, playing most likely at least 28 minutes. And he's a more than 1 point fantasy point per minute player with no Jared Allen there. Like, to me, if you're going to lock anyone in, it would have been these two, right? Especially, when if Bledsoe was still in, then Nah wouldn't have projected as well. And the top spend up was like either Luka, Ingram, Durant. I mean, that's why it's up here, right? That's why it looks like this, right? The Mega 8s, it goes this way. It goes in all these contests too, but you see how dramatic it's lesser owned. Nah was 82% in the Mega 8s, but in the 4-point play it was 55%. So what this means is that if you're playing lower stakes contests, be more inclined to jam the best projected plays, best projected value on the slate. Even though you think in your head, oh, they're going to be mega chalky. Oh, they're going to be mega chalky. They're not going to be chalky enough. Like, once you get into the higher stakes where people don't make as many mistakes, maybe then you start thinking about fading DeAndre Jordan in a lineup, not overall, right? I could understand if you were playing higher stakes in the Mega 8s and the single entries, like the higher stakes stuff, then maybe you don't make a DeAndre Jordan, Nickeil Alexander-Walker lineup. You play one of them in the lineup, but you don't have to make one with both of them in it. Maybe instead of playing Durant, you play Bruce Brown instead and no Durant. And then you pay up and you try to find like Giannis. You play Giannis in the power forward spot. Or you play Durant, you fade Jordan, and you look down and you see like you play Roby in the center spot instead of a power forward spot, and then you fill that power forward spot with like a James Johnson, right? If you're not playing Luka, maybe you play James Johnson in the power forward spot. He got 26 points for 3,900, right? That's what you're trying to do in the fields where the ownership is more efficient. Yeah, Nah should have been 80%. Nah should have been 80 plus 90% plus owned. DeAndre Jordan should have been 80 plus percent owned. Well, in the Mega 8s he was. They were. To me, this is efficient. I think 76% is actually probably over owned for Durant in the Mega 8s. But in the 4-point play, like, look at this ownership, 55, 53. I think the efficient ownership was 80. So they were two of the most high owned players in the 4-point play, but they weren't high owned enough. So I know people that watch this show, that listen to this on the podcast, you may be playing different stakes. Most people play lower stakes, right? You're not playing the $888 contest, right? You're not playing the $2,100 single entry contest. You're not playing the Thunderdome, right? You're not playing that. So if you're playing the 20 max, the 20 max $4, the 20 max $1, the mini max, be more inclined. I know it sounds weird. You go to Lineup HQ, right? You subscribe to RotoGrinders, a premium membership. You get $10 off your first month. If you click on the link below, you get these premium projections. You go to your projections, you go, oh, there's no way. There's no way that you're telling me I'm just gonna jam in Nah, Jordan, Brown, Durant, and Luka, and like I'm gonna be different enough? It's like, well, I only named 5 guys. You still have 3 spots left. It's like, well, it sounds chalky. Durant, Nah, Jordan, Brown, Luka sounds way too chalky. I need to pivot somewhere. It's like, no, they're not chalky enough. Like the 2 value plays, they projected too well. Nah projected for RotoGrinders had him for like 10x median. 10x median. He's 3,100, which means his median was 31 points. Like, his median score was 10x, and he ended up with 17x yesterday. So, like, I don't know how 45% of you just don't play him. So if that's going to happen in the low stakes, that's what I recommend. Be more inclined. Sometimes it burns you. Yeah, you're right. Sometimes it doesn't work out. But for those types of situations, he put up 52 points for 3,100. In the higher stakes, then okay, I get it. Maybe you do want to pivot a little in one lineup. Not in all your lineups, but one lineup. I mean, we can take a look here. Take a look in the fadeaway, the big GPP on DraftKings. a ton of 150 maxers did very well. Like the top 40 was like mostly people that play 150 max or good players in general. But you see here, 90%, 74% exposed, 95, 100, 82, 50. Hafter went a little under. Hishbu, 91%. The Colts, 88%. Like, if we take a look at Naw and DeAndre Jordan, look, none of these guys are fading. They're building most of their lineups around them. Hafter, a little bit contrarian, right, by not having Ingram, right? Not having Ingram or Naw. So who did he have? Not having Ingram. I guess he built lineups for the Pelicans to fail. Because I don't see any Hero Lewis. I don't see any really any heart. Is there any heart here? Just a little, right? He went under on the Pelicans in general. The Pelicans just get blown out by the Clippers and then that's it. Okay, that makes sense. But you see the constructions here. Chedabisk, who won this yesterday, 90% Nah, 83% DeAndre Jordan. Why not? Played a bunch of Luka. There you go. Didn't play Randall. Got it. Because played less of Durant and Randall. That Durant-Randall combination was very chalky. So played less of it. Still played plenty of Isaiah Roby. And then paired Fox, Giannis, Lillard. Right? That was the combination. Right? Lillard plus Fox. And then the value. That's what I did. I did very well yesterday. I did well in GPP. I think I got 12th in one in the 66 or something. I made money. I made money in cash games. You can see here. Very good night. Not on Yahoo. Yahoo, I tanked on Yahoo. But on DraftKings, added 600 or so, 1,200 on FanDuel, lost 300. So overall, we're back up, right? I think the highest the profit number has been like 9,400 or something. So we're getting back up there, right? Over the weekend, you see here, over the weekend, didn't do very well, right? So you took a dip, took a downswing, and now we're back on the upswing. So yeah, so DK is coming back up to past the 55% range. FanDuel just crushing it, but that's coming down. That used to be at 85%. Yahoo is a little bit up there. It'll bounce back, hopefully. But it's overall 57% win rate amongst everything, 15% ROI. Pretty good. But that's what happens. All of this is just variance, right? Me playing cash today on the 14th, it's not going to be related to it's hot, it's cold. Those things don't exist. All you're seeing is just variance. I don't care about the swings, right? I have to represent the swings, right? It goes, up and down, up and down. I just care what happens. What's this number? What's that number at the end of the year, at the end of the season, right? This profit, this ROI, this win rate. What's that at the end of the year? Everything else is just, I can just sleep through it. Who cares? So that went well yesterday. So going back into the YouTube chat, as always, you could always type in. I'll scroll back. I scroll back and and see what questions are posted there. You have people saying good morning. Keep the apple juice cold. Let me test it out. Pretty cold. Hit that thumbs up button. Keep it cold throughout the show. Brandon Stinson said, cash yesterday using your advice. I used to fill out lineups in the morning or the night. Well, how about the afternoon? It's something right in the middle of that. Oh, or the night before. Okay. I used to fill out lineups in the morning or the night before and adjust a player or two. Now I filled my roster out yesterday at 6:05 p.m. and monitored news more than normal after lock. Yes. You can build a dummy lineup. I built the lineup. I have lineups on DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo. And I just okay, it's today's Heat are still out. The Rockets don't have Harden or anyone. It's probably going to be a bunch of that. So I just fill it out just so I could use it to enter contests. But that's not the lineup I'm going to be playing. I know. I'm just building it just so there's a placeholder there, right? Or you build a second lineup. That's where all your GPPs are going to be, right? So you enter that 100 times into a contest, and then you could download the CSV and you could sort by I changed the utility position. So like, utility position on my dummy cash lineup is Eric Gordon. The utility position in my GPP lineup is David Nwaba. Doesn't mean I'm going to be using that, but at least I could download the CSV and go sort by utility position. All the Eric Gordon lineups, just clear them out. And then I just have my Nwaba lineups, and I just replace those, cut and paste in Excel when I'm building a whole ton of lineups. But yeah, so you still create a lineup. But, I mean, you're doing it just as a placeholder, not because you're actually going to be playing that. Jesse Atfield asks, find myself getting caught in FanDuel cash, even though I think I'm in a strong position. Do you re-optimize your lineups no matter what before the late games, regardless of position? Yeah, why not? If you have projections and you're able to get a higher projected median lineup, at least consider it. Doesn't mean you have to do it, right? Sometimes you're like, okay, maybe I block. You're in a strong position. You go, okay, well, this guy's going to be chalk and I didn't play him. And maybe you block there. But for the most part, yes. Throughout the course of the night, news changes. Starting lineups change, right? We didn't even know. We didn't know yesterday that Nickeil Alexander-Walker was going to start. We weren't sure, right? They could have just played him off the bench like he normally plays. He still would have played a lot more minutes. We didn't know Thornwell was going to start and not Reddick. Reddick was going to play off the bench. So, like, those things matter in projections for minutes and usage. So either you're doing it yourself, so obviously you need to pay attention, or you're subscribed to RotoGrinders and you have the RotoGrinders premium projections. And we have a great team here with Noto and Meansy and Tuttle and Bob Reeves and SBK and Alan Lem and Jamino. Like, they know what they're doing. So they're going to be adjusting stuff behind the scenes, right? When starting lineups come out, even. That may bump up a guy 2 minutes, change the usage here a different way. So, yes, you have to pay attention. I'm sorry to say, in NBA DFS, if you're not paying attention the whole night, you're giving up a lot of edge. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. And if the sites didn't have late swap, then you wouldn't have to worry about it. You just assess your risk and go, there's no way I'm playing Nurkic because he's a game time decision and he gets injured a lot. And you say, or some people say, I'll take the risk and I'll play him. But at 7 o'clock, everything locks anyway, and then it is what it is. If someone doesn't play, you get a 0. That's just the way it is. But if they're doing late swap, NBA is like the sport that you need it the most because you eliminate. Imagine the Blazers half an hour before their game said, "Oh, Lillard's out and Nurkic is out." Well, now you should be jamming in McCollum and Gary Trent and Enes Kanter. I mean, like. It would be all the pricing would be inefficient for the Blazers. So that's why you need to pay attention. In other sports, it doesn't affect it as much. In baseball, right? Occasionally you get, the guy that normally bats 7th is now batting 2nd. It's like, okay, that ups his plate appearance expectation a little. But a lot of times it doesn't matter. A lot of times you look at a lineup and you go, okay, well, this guy's in. You look at the Pirates order, it's like, well, Brian Reynolds is out today and Eric Gonzalez is in at the 7th spot. It's like, what? Does it matter that much? Like, they're still crappy players, right? You replace the $3,800 player with a crappy $3,300 player. It doesn't do all that much. But in basketball, it could do a lot. Bill Biller asks about game stacking. I just missed that. Is game stacking important in NBA? Correlation is weak in NBA. It's not important. I typically, unless it's a small slate when there's not many options, the more players from the same team that you put on in your lineup, I mean, it's negatively correlated. Only one player could get a basket at a time, right? So game stacking is less important. But like we're going to see today, the Heat are still underpriced. Some of their players are still underpriced. We still have we had the Rockets. Who knows who the hell they're going to be starting? They still have 10 or 11 guys, but it's a whole mess of players. So I don't know if Eric Gordon is questionable for today's game time decision. But like once you remove Harden and Wall from the Rockets, like everyone's too cheap still. Just to figure out who to play. So in those scenarios, you have multiple highly underpriced players. So yeah, then you could start taking more players from the team. But if they're efficiently priced, most likely, like taking more than 2 from a team is for large field GPPs, you're kind of limiting your ceiling. Obviously, if they're all starters and they all go to overtime and the game goes 50 points over the total, yeah, sure. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, then it doesn't matter anymore. But how often does that happen? Let's see. Let's go through. Doug Montgomery talked about, you probably talked about this before. Yes, of course. But can you speak of how smash percentage and how you use it? All you're doing is comparing the smash percentage to the ownership. That's it. Smash percentage and point per dollar value and RGV or salary adjusted plus per minus, they're similar, right? They weigh different parts of the player's projection. So if we go here, I'll explain, because people, how do you use it? Like, what do you mean? How do you compare it to other players, right? If the highest guy's smash percentage is 28, then 28 is great, but 28 ain't great on the slate when you got guys 50%, right? So you take a look at smash. Like, we don't have ownership up now, right? But I would compare, like, he's 40% to smash, and what is his ownership? If he's going to be 12% owned, like that's good. Right? That's a good differential to have, where a guy has 40% chance to put up a GPP target score, but only 12% of the field is going to have him. So that's what I'm looking for. Guys that have high smash percentages that are going to be owned less than what they should be. But it's all in relation, because this basically point per dollar is like a raw value. So David Nwaba right now, don't go by the projections right now, obviously, because it's 11:20 in the morning and who knows what's going to happen. So we have all these cheap rockets. So point per dollar wise, David Nwaba is 3,200, projected for 28 points, 33 minutes, 28 points. So his point per dollar value is 8.7. What's his value related to his salary? Because you have to realize that guys with low salaries need to put up more points on average to give you raw points, right? Because you could play I'm going to play all the cheap guys and leave 8,000 on the table. You're not going to get enough raw points. So RGV is just how many more points above or below is his median, the middle, the 50th percentile outcome, compared to its salary, a player that you'd need for 3,200, right? So a $3,200 player for a median needs to score about 20.5 points to make value, something like that, to make value. How many points above that is David Nwaba's projection? 7.75. Edmund Sumner, same thing. He needs to score 20.5 to make value, like not smash, not GPP value, just to make his salary adjusted value. Well, that's a half a point under to his median. So RGV is related to the median. Smash percentage is related to the ceiling. What's the GPP target score of a $3,200 player? And where is it on where is his smash percentile? But we see here that a $3,200 player, I mean, when you see smash of 50%, that basically means that his median is the smash zone, right? If David Nwaba puts up 28 points, he smashes. If Sterling Brown puts up 25 points for 3,000, he smashes. If Eric Gordon, his median is 34.98, his smash percentage is 44, which means his target score is around 38. So 38 appears at like the 56th percentile of his outcomes. So that's what all these mean. So smash is more related to winning a GPP type of score. RGV is just plus minus related to the median. So you could play guys, you could see here, you could play guys with lower RGV in relation to other players, right? Yeah, like Chris Boucher, right here. You go, oh, how do I play Chris Boucher? He has a negative RGV. It's like, no, it just means his median outcome is a quarter of a point below someone for a 6,500. But he still has a 30% chance of getting he has a 30% chance of getting 45 points. You don't care about the median as much. You care about the ceiling, the GPP target score. So that's why RGV is just you're looking in relation to one another. You could play guys. Look, OG Anunoby. Oh, I can't play him. He's minus 2.72. Yeah, but 21% of the time, he smashes. Right? 3-point Bismack Biyombo. Oh, my God. 18% of the time, he still smashes. So all RGV is comparing the median to, how what their salary is for raw points. That's why, like in cash games, you're more likely to play guys that have higher RGVs, right? And in GPPs, you're going to play guys that have higher smash percentages. But, I mean, typically they're related to one another. I mean, we take a look at it. If their median is 8 points higher than their salary-adjusted value, they're more likely that they're also going to have a high smash percentage, right? That's the way the distribution curve looks. It's not going to get to a point at the middle and then just drop off a cliff like a roller coaster, right? No, it's going to end up being about the same. So most likely, all three of these values, RGV, smash, and point per dollar, are going to be related to one another, right? You're rarely going to see one that's way off. They're not like it's all the same distribution. They're good. They're going to be similar enough. The same people are going to have good all of them. Rather than one great and two horrible. Like it's rarely going to happen. Okay. Drew DP asks on Lineup HQ, do you configure your player groups during the day and adjust just prior to lock, or do you configure as close to lock as possible? You can do either or. It really depends. I do it closer to lock because I'm just experienced and I do it faster, right? I could build on a slate where I'm playing 100 lineups or so through Lineup HQ. I could build my player pool and all my groups. And my groups could be like, I could have 30 of them in probably about 5 minutes. It'll take me about 5 minutes to do. Some people may take less. Because I could just go in. Because what I'm doing a lot of times is I'm going game by game. So let's go to an easy game, a game that's not like, everyone's out. So I go to like Charlotte, Toronto. Right. So I would exclude all the players. Right. So I have no one in my player pool and then go game by game and see who I want to play. So I'd look at this. I go, who's on Charlotte? No one projects well on Charlotte. But who projects decently enough on Charlotte? So I'm like, maybe I want to play Terry Rozier and Devontae Graham, but I don't want to play them together. So I'd click to include them and then I create the group. Right. Rozier, Graham. Done. Now I go to Toronto. I go, okay, I want to play Boucher and Siakam, but I don't want to play them together, right? So I go to player groups. I go Boucher, Siakam. Maybe I do want to make a player group. What's the, maybe I want to make, if I'm playing Siakam, that I need to play one of these guys. Maybe I want to do that. So I'll just create the other group. Siakam as a conditional player, put Rozier, put Devontae Graham, and set it to min 1, max 1. So every Siakam lineup has those two. So that's what I could do this all in 5 minutes. Right? So I could go through all these games. It could be an 11-game slate. It'll take me a little longer for an 11-game slate. But that's what I'm doing. So you could do it throughout the day if you want. Essentially, but I'm not really making those types of decisions until the end. And let's say later on, I'm like, maybe I do play some Fred VanVleet, right? So maybe I go back. Do I have to make any rules for fit them into a group? Do I want to play them all together? Maybe I can play VanVleet with Boucher, but not with Siakam. So I'll create that group. I go VanVleet. I go Siakam. So like VanVleet plus Boucher is fine, but not VanVleet plus Siakam because they're prices. I would come back and do that. So this list could be long in doing those types of things. Maybe I come back and relax it. Maybe I'm like, screw it. I don't need to run back or anything. Maybe I just go, damn, doesn't matter, right? Or I disable it or something later. You could do it throughout the day. I'm experienced enough that I could breeze through this in 5 minutes. For a slate this size, like tonight, yeah, less than 5 minutes. But if you're not up to speed on Lineup HQ, like, yeah, do it throughout the day. Experiment, right? Start putting in groups throughout the day and then start making builds and go, holy crap, I screwed up, right? You'd rather experiment and screw up earlier in the day than 5 minutes before lock. There's so many people that learn how to use the tool first. We have tons of videos, We have free videos. We have premium videos all about lineup HQ and my process, Brit's process, Squirrel Patrol's process. We got tons of videos on people's processes and all the functionality of lineup HQ. Learn that. But I'm a different type of person, I guess. Right? When I was a kid, you got a new video game, right? You're like 11. Like I got what I remember getting when NHL hockey came out for the Genesis or something like that, right? Because I played all the EA games when I was younger. You're all excited. Most kids just took the cartridge out of the box and plunked it in and started playing. No, I read the entire instruction book. And then I would look through the strategy guides, and then I would look online. Even back then, I was on BBSs and AOL. I'm looking for this is before I even turned the game on. I'm that type of person. So getting involved with DFS and all these functionalities of tools, I'm the type of person. It's I ain't gonna use this for a slate with my real money until I learn everything. About it. Do you have to do that? No. But it would make more sense to try out, sign up for premium, use the link in the description, $10 off your first month, and experiment and pretend you're playing. Even if you're not going to play tonight's slate, pretend you are and see what things do. Trial and error. It's better to do that in the middle of the day. It's better to do that for no money at stake, or enter the nickel mini max on FanDuel or something. I'm going to play 100 lineups into that, and that's $5. So what's the worst case scenario? You screw it up, you lose $5. Okay, do something like that. The dime time on DraftKings, and then if you screw things up, then okay, that's the price of learning. But I see so many people sometimes. It's I entered, the $18 fadeaway, I 150 maxed it, and then they don't understand how to use lineup HQ. It's dude, I can't teach you this in 3 minutes. Right? You have an issue I've never used this before. Really? You're gonna put down $3,000 worth of entries without ever using the tool before? I wouldn't do that. I'm just telling you, I wouldn't do that. I like lineup HQ and all, but I mean, you still have to learn how to use what's this button do? What's this lock button to do? Okay. I mean, most optimizers all do about the same things. It's just a matter of the user interface, where it is that you do that. So that don't rush 10 minutes before lock and go, oh my God, I don't know how to use it. And it's here's a 2-hour video. I don't have time for a 2-hour video. Well, you should have watched it beforehand. Trevor McElroy, do you always play the same amount of cash versus GPP, as a percentage of your total entry fees? Not necessarily. But I try to keep it like that. I mean, GPPs are going to be high variance. So I stick to around the 80-20-ish type of thing, but doesn't mean you'd have to, right? It's all a matter of risk tolerance to you. Sometimes I'm 75-25. Depends on the GPPs that I'm playing, right? I mean, my cash game is just you see what I'm doing for cash games. There's no thought process behind it, right? I'm playing 10% of whatever this number is, split amongst 3 sites. So tonight I will be playing close to $2,900. And if it goes up, then I'll be playing $3,200, and then whatever. And then what I do in GPP is more. It should be more related to the percentage of your bankroll than percentage of cash versus GPP. Because for me, this amount of money in my bankroll is a small amount. So my starting bankroll was 10% of my bankroll. So technically, I'm risking about 1% of my bankroll per day in cash games. So how much in GPP? You could risk 0.5%. That's $1,400 based on this. You could risk 0.2%. I mean, it should be that type of thing, not what am I playing? You could play $5,000 worth of cash and $500 in GPP, and that sure. You play $5,000 in cash and $4,000 for GPP. That's fine. Also, they're not related to one another, even though it's the same slate. Don't think in terms of these arbitrary periods. How much money did I make tonight? Well, what does tonight matter? On this slate, what does this slate matter? Well, how much money did I make this week? So what does the 7-day period matter? Every slate is not related to one another. So if you're playing seriously or professionally or for a large chunk of your income, It just all that matters is what's at the end. It's one long DFS game. DFS doesn't end today. Like if it ended today, yes, I need to make money today. But outside of that, like when people, FanDuel, you're doing well. Why don't you put more money into FanDuel? It's like, how do I know that this isn't just variance? Right? I'm just going to diversify. I'm treating this like a stock. Right? I'm using the RG projections, making cash lineups, and it's a stock that I'm going to be withdrawing 6 months from now when the NBA season is over. So whether it goes up or down today, what does it matter? You could say the same thing for GPPs if you play. Like, what does it matter today? Right? So if I lose in cash and win in GPP and I make $200 today, what does that matter? Today, this week, this month, this year. It's one long game. So never think in terms of like, what do I need to balance today? It's like, where is their edge and where can you grab it? Right? If you see a contest is overlaying, it's like, oh, okay, maybe I'll play that. So sometimes you have unbalanced, you're playing, some days maybe you're not playing any cash games. Maybe some days you're just playing cash games. Maybe there's a day where your wife wants you to watch a movie at 9:30 at night with her, or 9 o'clock on The Bachelorette is on, or who knows. And you know that there's like 3 10 p.m. games that have news in it. And you go, well, maybe I'm going to play lighter today. Maybe I'm not going to play 100 GPP lineups. Because I know that once 9 o'clock comes, the only thing I'm going to be able to do is to check on my phone, see if there's an RG app alert on if someone's sitting, and then maybe change the lineup on the phone. So you go, okay, then I'm either not going to play it all that night, or going to play lighter, or just going to play cash. Just going to play one lineup and just whatever. I can fix the one lineup on the phone next day on the couch, right? You can do those types of things. You don't have to feel like you need to play the same amount every day, the same contests, the same everything, exactly, 80, 20, 60, 40, this thing, that. No, it's related to the slate. Sometimes we see slates where there's so much overlap that I just start entering a ton of head-to-heads. Or I need to reduce the variance as much as possible. Right? We see these slates where the secret chat, right? Because like if you didn't play like Nickeil Alexander-Walker and DeAndre Jordan and Durant, and I mean like the cash lineups on DK were like 2v2s at best. I thought it would actually be more duplicated at some of them, and this is without talking to one another. So if I don't feel like there's that much edge on that type of slate, I want to reduce my variance as much as possible. Not play as many double ups. If I'm going to play cash games, it's going to be primarily head-to-heads. Or triple ups, or at least I get the upside of my 2v2 or something like that. But every slate will be different. So don't necessarily think in terms of what do I do today, every day. Think in terms of, based on this slate and my situation, what would be the best allocation of my bankroll today? And that's it. Let's see. Going through the YouTube chat. Let's see. Hit the thumbs up button. Still got to check the apple juice. Pretty good. Kai Roach says, I think people are missing stacking opportunities versus these teams missing a ton of players like the Heat and the Nets. Their defensive rotations are going to get messed up when they lose 3 or 4 rotation players at once. Yeah. I noticed yesterday that, it was surprising that the Sixers weren't as high owned as they should have been, like Embiid yesterday. Because if you're going to play 3 or 4, 5 Heat, and you're going to play no one from the other side of the game that also was kind of shorthanded also, right? No, I get that completely. That's what I try to do. I just thought Embiid yesterday, the day before yesterday, was going to be higher on than he was. I thought he would be 30% owned. He came in 16. If I knew that, I would have played much more of him, right? I would have played, instead of 1 out of 5 of my lineups, he would have been in like 3 or 4 out of my 5 lineups. QQ, in your smaller single entry GPP, this is from Michael Lingenfelter. In your smaller single entry GPP, approximately what range of median projection are you comfortable giving up while training to pivot and gain leverage? There's no specific number. I'm going to keep on saying this. There's no specific number because every slate is different. People look at it here. Here's the way you're not asking a proper. I want to use proper, not the word stupid, right? If you know me from outside of RotoGrinders, maybe I'll call this stupid. If you ask a question, if it's phrased in a way where the answer would be in a specific number, then it's not a good question. If it's phrased in a way where the answer would be yes or no, it's not a good question. Those are the two things. So understand that. Ask a question and go, can this be answered by an exact number or a yes or a no? And if the answer, if you can be, then you're going to get it depends from me, because it depends on the slate. We have these slates now where guys are sitting and like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, for instance, like on yesterday's slate. How much medium am I willing to give up? Well, you could give up if you fade, like for instance, yesterday, if you fade Nick Naw and Jordan yesterday, your median lineup will be like 10 plus points below everyone else, like that have one of these two players, right? You're going to give up. If you faded Walker, you're giving up like 8. If you faded Jordan, you're probably giving up another 4. That's 12. But if they both fail, like you're going to make that all up because how high they're owned in this contest, in the mega 8s. They're not nearly as leveraged in the 4-point play, even though they're 50% owned. You're not gaining as much leverage. But in the mega 8s, if Naw failed and put up 17, even just 17, and DeAndre Jordan got into foul trouble and put up 17, because in the mega 8s, they're 80+% owned each, I could give up 12 points in median projection for that amount of leverage. I can't give up 12 points of projection for this amount of leverage in the 4-point play, right? Or in whatever contest you're in. So it really depends on the ownership of the players in the contest and the constructions you can make without it. It's not a matter of I'm going to fade Naw and then play another $3,100 player. You're just going to build a different construction. Like Kevin Durant. Can you fade Kevin Durant? Of course you can. You could have made lineups yesterday with Kevin Durant not in it and have it be 2 or 3 points under median, which is fine to give up. 2 or 3 points. Any contest, that's fine. You get so much leverage in the mega 8s by doing it. I only have to give up 3 points in median to get this much leverage in the mega 8s. Not as much in here, but still enough because he's a $9,400 player at power forward, right? It's not a 3K level player. So it's like I'm much more willing to give up median projection to fade Durant than I am to fade the cheap chalk, right? So it's much easier for them to get there. But it also depends on the contest that you're in. You get more leverage in the higher. I got more leverage here versus more leverage there because you're looking to balance that out. How much median am I sacrificing? How much projection am I sacrificing? And for the amount of leverage that I'm getting. The amount of leverage you get is different from contest to contest. So maybe you're not getting enough. Maybe you could give up 12 points. That sounds like in most NBA slates, 10 points is a lot of projection to give up. But if there's a chance, I'm not even saying that that's even smart to do. Like 12 points may still be too much to give up in the mega 8s. But if you play one of them, I'm going to give up 6 points and then fade Durant and give up another 4, right? I'm not going to play any of the Nets. Screw it, right? I'm just like fade the game. So I'm not playing Bruce Brown, I'm not playing Durant, and I'm not playing Jordan. But I am playing Naw. Like in the mega 8s, it's possible. You're getting close to the line of you're giving up a little too much, but at least I understand it. Like because you're getting enough leverage here. But in the contest that these guys are owned even less, like probably not. You don't want to give up 14 points in median projection like that. But there are going to be slates that there's not screaming value. We're not seeing that often recently. Guys are out, guys are in, 3K guys are, Gabe Vincent goes off to 12X, these types of slates. But in order to fade one of these guys, like you're going to be giving up a lot of median projection. But on a slate where value is thin, we'll eventually get to there, right? Where there's a slate where it's like there's really like no one stands out. Do you want to give up 10 points? Then probably not. because you could probably make when most of the players, I mean, we're seeing here guys with values that are ridiculous. Like to fade all of these guys would be your median is going to be so low. But on slates where none of these guys are here, like let's say Harden was still there, and the Heat, Butler was back and Adebayo was back, and you looked and you see like, oh, there's no obvious value. Like there's nothing. But someone's going to end up being chalky. Someone's they're going to be chalky players. But the difference between lineups is going to be minimal. So on a slate where people are efficiently projected, right? Like they're efficiently priced and projected, nothing stands out. You can build a lineup with a 290 median. And then the next 500 lineups are between 286 and 290 because everyone's projected efficiently. So like you can make a lot of combinations of guys of the same, like you have 5 guys that are projected about the same and they're efficient. So it's like play whoever you want at that point, right? So you can make a lot more combinations. So do you want to give up 10 points of projection in those cases? No, you don't. Because there's so many more higher projected lineups than that. But the only way on slates like this to get lineups that have 10 points, like you're fading someone that projects extremely well. And once you start playing multiple of those extremely well projected players, like that, you're not getting enough leverage, or you need to find a way to get leverage. Like we take a look at yesterday and like, okay, I'm going to play Jordan. I'm going to play Brown. I'm going to play Durant. Like you're like, yes, these lineups are going to be highly projected. If you fade any of them, you're going to lose a lot of projection, but that's the only way you lose projection. There's no other way to lose projection to gain leverage. So you're going to have to. So that's why on slates with big value like this, like you are more willing to sacrifice projection for leverage because that's the only way you could do it. But on slates where there's no value, there's no screaming value, when Cam Johnson off the bench is the value, you just go into lineup HQ and build 300 lineups just with defaults and see the difference. If you build 300 lineups now with this, you're going to see a ton of these cheap value plays, right? That are good. But if everything was efficient and you built 300, you wouldn't see like a guy that's in 100% of lineups, right? You wouldn't see that. You wouldn't see a guy that's in 88% of lineups. You'd see a lot of, the best quote value would be in 55% of lineups. Then you see a guy that's 48% of lineups. Like in those slates, you don't want to give up that as much median because you don't gain anything by it. There's so many more lineups that could project close to each other. There's less amount of lineups that project close to each other in situations like today, where you got all this Houston value, the Miami players, where like how else are you going to build a lineup? Like you're going to see a lot of overlap, even in GPPs. So the only way to lose projection is by fading one of them. I hope that's understandable. Let's see. Ricky S., do you do this process for GPPs right? Because for cash, you probably want to have all of the player pool. Oh, when I exclude all the players? Yep. Most of the players that I'm including are all the highly well-projected players. So most likely, if I'm running the lineup preview on the sidebar for cash games, like it's very rare that I do not have an optimal cash lineup in my player pool because I'm only playing the best projected players anyway, right? I maybe included some somewhat poorly projected players, but I'm rarely in my player pool, not just saying, oh, guy's going to be 80% down X amount. Like I know I'm going to have, it's going to be something there. So it doesn't matter the player pool wise. Nate Branshaw. Let's see. Let me scroll. I missed it. Did I miss it? I was scrolling through. This is what I'm doing when I'm scrolling through. Let's see. Going through the YouTube tab. I missed it. Okay, now I got it. Is there a tool on RG that analyzes the variance of different players? Helpful identifying those boom bust guys versus the more safe players, especially when it comes to value plays. You can do that right. That's what the floor and ceiling are. And the smash is. That's all you have to look at. These floor and ceilings are not like linear, right? So the distribution curve is going to be different. So typically, guys that like Damian Lillard, narrower range of outcomes. Typically, when the smash percentage is low, even though their projection is high, means they have a little bit more narrow range. If you see a smash percentage that's high, but their RGV is minus, that's a volatile player. Okay, that's almost a better way of looking at it. So let me go by smash percentage. So let's say I sorted right here by smash percentage. So if the lower RGV means that the more volatile they are, because their median is going to be way off compared to it. So Ben McLemore here, because he's obviously shooting dependent. So he's a 38% smash, but not as high as these other guys above his median, salary adjusted, plus minus. So that would be more volatile. Gabe Vincent would be more volatile. Precious would be more volatile. Chris Boucher on this slate. Chris Silva, right? You don't know. 17 minutes, he could do a lot in 17 minutes, or he could do nothing, right? So you're kind of looking at that. The difference, if you have like negative RGV players that have decent smash percentages, those would be more volatile players. But you could also see it in the floor and the ceiling. You could eyeball it. So yeah, you don't need a tool for that. You can just look at the projections every day. Let's see. Going down. Got a couple of minutes left. Bill DeVault. Oh, our moderator. Bill DeVault. He keeps everyone in behaved in our Discord. He does 6% of his bankroll per day instead of 10%, as it scares him, which is fine. Hey, truthfully, I'm doing 1%, Bill. I'm doing 1%. The 20,000 is really just 10% of my actual bankroll. So I'm truthfully only playing 1% of my bankroll in cash. So I'm still 6 times more conservative than you are. I'm a nit. I'm such a nit. I probably could have made him over $1 million if I was briskier, but I don't need all the money, right? My goal, and that's why it all has to do with your goals. My goal is to never have a real job. That's really my ultimate goal. Since I was 23 years old, I'm 41 now. I've never had a quote real job. Go to an office, right? Hey guys, the water cooler, crap. Never had that. So my goal is that I'm pretty pragmatic. I don't need all the money. So 1% is fine. 6%, whatever your risk tolerance is, that's what you should be doing. Let's see. Right, Robert Berlinski even says, once you realize that there's so much variance, you realize not to use a huge percentage of your roll. Right. There's a lot of variance. And I know that there's a lot of variance, and even I underestimate it, right? There's that much variance in sports on a day-to-day basis. Let's go through. Sean West asks, do you put your cash game lineups in GPP and single entry? It depends on the lineup. If I know that my lineup is going to be a little bit different, maybe I'll throw it into a low single entry. Maybe I'm more likely to throw it into quints and triples and whatever. Because typically, if you're building a cash game lineup that could win first place in a large field GPP, you're building really bad cash game lineups. Okay, I can tell you that. Okay, so most likely, playing it in GPP, unless it's a really small field, is negative EV. If you're building good cash game lineups. Let's see. When you say, okay, Ronald Coley asks, when you say you don't want to give up this many points of projection, is that from an overall optimal lineup? Yes. So I would run to see what is the optimal lineup based on median projection. Maybe it's 290. So that is my baseline. Okay. How many points am I willing to give up? 286. How much ownership do I gain? How much leverage do I gain for giving up 4 points? If I don't get anything, I'm just giving up 4 points for nothing, then I shouldn't be giving up 4 points, right? If I'm getting a ton of leverage and I'm only have to give up 4 points, give me that lineup. I want to play that lineup. So yes, it's the overall lineup difference between the optimal, which is basically the highest projected lineup based on your projections, and what your current lineup, what lineup you're looking at currently is. Let's see. Kai Roach says, in 4 weeks, NBA has poisoned my mind, and I no longer have any clue how to construct NFL lineups. What does it matter, right? And I'm done with NFL. I got to play this weekend. I'm on the Lineup HQ shows with Tambo this weekend. So got to play this weekend. But if you don't want to play NFL anymore, don't play NFL. I'm in NBA mode now. Everett Ellis asks about finding Lineup HQ tutorials, and Devin did post a link in the chat. We have tons of tutorials. Free. You can go to my YouTube channel also. I have a list of all of my free tutorials, but we have premium tutorials on RotoGrinders. So you could, if you sign up, you could go through. There are probably, like I said before, I'm the type of person that I'm not gonna go all in until I can read or watch everything. Okay, that's what I did. In October of 2015 was when I started playing DFS. But I looked into it like 2 or 3 weeks previous to that. I didn't make a deposit yet. And I found RotoGrinders. I read everything I possibly could. I literally read everything. Free that was on RotoGrinders. Watch videos. Game theory. There was these old game theory videos. I watched all of that. I spent probably 40 hours before I even played a game. Anything. You could do that now. We have the entire back catalog. You could probably watch 80 to 100 hours of video on NBA, MLB, Lineup HQ, NFL, game theory, everything, all in Roto Academy, all in the premium videos and the free videos, Lineup HQ processes, thoughts from all of our analysts before you even enter a contest if you want. So, I mean, to me, even if you want to sign up for a month and watch all of that and then cancel, I mean, I way worth the value to even just do that. So go to rotogrinders.com/premium and you get $10 off your first month by clicking on the link in the description. Can we get one more question before we get out of here for today? As always, you could show up here 11 in the morning Eastern on YouTube, on the RotoGrinders YouTube, and you could ask your questions. If you're listening to the podcast later, you're watching later, like just show up, ask your question. You see how this goes. Sometimes we go in one direction. Sometimes we go in the other direction. Sometimes we talk a lot about last night. Sometimes we don't talk a lot about last night. This is kind of, the kind of a DFS school in the morning. And whoever's in YouTube that wants to have a question, that's who I prioritize. So sometimes we talk about different things on different days. Sam Bennett says, Blender, thank you. You've started changing my thinking when you joined RG this past year, and I've profited 6,000. I really have learned a lot from the game theory perspective and appreciate your advice. Well, thank you. Glad to hear. Glad to hear you're up money as long as you're not in my contest. I always have to throw that in, right? I don't want you to take my money. But yes, so hit the thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out the door. Thummy thumbs. And the subscribe scribes and the notification belly bells. Am I going too far with that? And you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, rate and review it there, because most of the reviews on iTunes for that feed is from the Daily Fantasy Fix. So it's a lot of people saying how great Dan Bach is. I want to know how. I want people to praise me, right? I don't want to see, Dan Bach's great on this show. No, it's the DFS pregame show now. It's the DFS pregame show on iTunes. So go there and put a good word in. Give a 5-star review. Give a 3-star review. Give a 1-star review and tell me how much you hate me. As long as you mention me. All press is good press, right? So go there right now and until tomorrow. We got Houston. We got Heat. This is gonna be one of those slates where you're going to be playing a David the Wamba Chalk. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? What Houston players are you playing? So until tomorrow, I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. blenderhd, blenderhd on Twitter. And this has been the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders.com.